All right, in studio right now is Joe Marino. We've added also into the mix Samantha Colosimo Testa. Samantha, the word... excuse me. I'm getting to the end of this thing I've been dealing with.
Once you quit smoking,
I'm going to quit smoking. All right, Samantha, so you not pleased yesterday with the word that the acting fire chief had resigned, and you're saying absolutely not. He didn't resign. He's just moving to a lower position, back to his original position. What's your take on it?
Well, here's a couple of things, guys. Yesterday, after hearing that Mark Ambrose had sent out a letter actually defending what was happening, I had sent an email to the mayor asking him for a timeline of events on what actually happened over the past several months. For the simple fact that I do believe that if the text messages weren't released, that we probably wouldn't have known what happened, what has transpired over the past several months. So when I sent out an email, haven't heard anything back. Then I get an email or statement from the administration stating that he offered his resignation. Well, to me, offering your resignation, when you look at the definition of resignation, it means leaving your job. And that had not happened. So again, was there any disciplinary action that had taken place? I couldn't tell you. I mean, because that to me is just going back to your original position. And I wasn't familiar if there was any other type of disciplinary action that was taken, because I believe that they had a disciplinary meeting on Friday. So again, it was still after the fact that the messages were released. And
so if they had a disciplinary meeting on Friday. The release came out like last Tuesday saying there was discipline. So the charge that Joe Marino, who's also in studio here, is making is that the mayor just made up that story that there was discipline, that there never was any discipline.
That's why a timeline has to be taken place, because from my understanding that when the press release was, when the mayor had made a statement last week that disciplinary action was taken, I had heard that nothing was scheduled yet. So it was after the fact that the messages were sent out, were released. So again, my biggest gripe is now is if everyone was involved in these past several months, including the mayor and, whoever else, because let's face it, I mean, if Mark Ambrose wanted to bring criminal charges, he could have went to the police department himself. He didn't need the mayor to go and do a criminal investigation.
Is there anyone that thought this was criminal?
No,
I don't think so.
I mean, you got to be. I mean, like I said, that was obviously just a play in the old book to try and make it look like they actually did something for it.
Yeah. Tell me. Let me ask you this: can you imagine a scenario where if the Ambrose kid, who is above the age of 18, if that was a female and not a male?
Female. Oh, please.
Could you?
The zero tolerance policy would have been implemented.
Yeah.
Like the last incident. And that's, again, how does this play out different than the other incident that happened with the fire department in regards to a sexual harassment case? Mm-hmm. I mean, that gentleman was put on administrative leave from the get-go.
Right.
I mean, again, look at Chief Brooks. I mean, Chief Brooks wasn't involved in anything like this, and he was put on administrative leave pending an investigation. So, again, if you look at what happened in past scenarios, allegations were brought forward. The person was put on administrative leave. An investigation was followed through. Whether this one was civil or criminal, I mean, obviously you should look at all angles.
Sure.
And then, move forward. So now, again, once you get the timeline, and God only knows if you'll ever get an answer out of this administration, because he feels the need that he doesn't need to respond to any of us, apparently. But, obviously that's where you would be able to find whether there was any unethical misconduct or, to put something in front of the ethics board.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can't sweep something like this under the rug. I mean, look at how bad this situation turned out for the simple fact that you had to dig and dig and dig and dig and dig to find out what actually transpired over the past several months. I mean, Mark Ambrose put out a more detailed statement than the mayor did. I mean, timelines aren't
but I think
public information,
I think Ambrose yesterday painted the best timeline that we currently have on this situation,
and that's the issue that I had. I mean, you had something that started in March; it's now June, and nothing took place. But yet, the other situations that occurred, you took action first, and then allowed the investigation to go through.
How do you justify putting the former chief now Well, as of July 1st, he's not resigning until July 1st. I found that to be kind of interesting. But how do you let this go on until July 1st? And B, how do you put Ambrose and Kelly back together again?
I mean, let's face it. I mean, that's uncomfortable. I mean, but you got to imagine that the whole entire fire department's uncomfortable at this point in time. I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of any of the membership, but I mean, this was a pretty embarrassing situation. I mean, and now you have these people, these guys in position of power. I mean, including and don't take light that the fact that the mayor is not included in any of this. I mean, because I don't think this came out the way it should have for the fact that was his appointee. So he got rid of Chief Brooks. No issues going on that were to this magnitude. And then you have the administration appointing this acting fire chief, and then the cover up over the past several months. I mean, so again, I mean, if somebody's going to tell me it's not a cover up and why he wasn't put on administrative leave at the time the allegations were brought forward, I mean, if there's got to be a serious explanation for me to believe that this wasn't a cover up over the past several months.
All right,
I mean, that's a tipping point of corruption to the fact that it should be the mayor and everybody else involved that should resign.
Okay, so Joe Marino in studio as well. So Samantha calling for, if this is all the case and there was a cover-up for the mayor to resign, do you feel the Common Council has anything that would, any ability, any teeth to be able to dig into this?
Yeah, look, and good morning, Samantha. How are you?
Good morning, guys.
So I agree with Samantha that there should be an investigation into ethics. That's the problem that, you hear Samantha Colosimo Testa saying something, you hear me saying something. I didn't say anything for the first several days that this came out because, look, frankly, it wasn't my story. But when I found out and kept finding out the lack of responsibility that the mayor was taking, people were asking, what, if anything, can you do then? If the mayor won't do anything, what will you do? And we really have no disciplinary measures to take as the Common Council. We can investigate. We could try to bring as much information to the public as possible, and that's what we'll do. But I refuse to take responsibility for the mayor's inaction. Or I refuse to level that onto the Common Council as well. It's not our job, unless he'd like to appoint us Public Safety Commissioner, which even that might be a step in the right direction. But there's really nothing that we can do in terms of disciplinary measures outside of, in the mayor's case, perhaps an ethical violation. But for the fire department in Kelly's position, there's nothing we could do. But we can look into it. We can call for action, and that's what we're doing now.
Do you think, because I doubt whether or not he can relate to you what his punishment was. If he came out and said, I did punish this guy, but I can't tell you because of civil service law.
The Common Council does have the authority to find out what he's got.
Yeah, we have power. We have executive session power.
There's got to be a paper trail. And I also don't think that this provision, this civil rights, I don't think that applies here to begin with. I've talked to certain.
I love how you can't talk about a pending investigation, and all of a sudden, since the investigation's closed, you can't talk about that either.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I can understand pending, but I mean, it's a closed investigation, and you're using taxpayers' money to go and follow through with an investigation. And I don't believe that there was a civil investigation that actually transpired. I believe it was just a criminal one to hang their hat on. That was it.
Yeah.
But again, Mark Ambrose could have went and did that himself. I mean, he didn't need the mayor to go ahead and follow through with the criminal investigation.
Let me ask. By the way, I was going to offer up a solution because now, as of July 1st, you're not going to have a fire chief. You need someone to kind of lead things while you're trying to find a permanent fire chief, because Chief Brooks is going to basically age out in the fall. Why not he's already still the fire chief. Why not put Chief Brooks back in until September?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, he's there. He's trained. He's capable.
I'm pretty sure he already offered that up.
Okay.
Yeah. He has been since, July of last year?
I think he might have. I'm just saying. I mean, you have an easy solution right there because the guy knows the job, and he could at least get things and put some sort of a transition in place, which he says he was doing, by the way, before.
We're not in the business of making good decisions.
Go ahead, Joe.
I just said, Sam, we're not in the business of making good decisions, and that would be a good decision. I would be hard-pressed to see that. I just wanted to say that if you noticed in the mayor's press release that he did this as an open, search. So, I mean, he could hire anybody at this point in time. It just doesn't have to be anybody that was in the top 3 appointments. I mean, he could hire a chief from outside the state. He could hire a retired chief. He could hire anybody now, which really leaves it open to
anybody, including Chief Brooks.
If the issue of police officers living outside the city of Utica comes up tomorrow night, would you vote for that?
No.
And Joe, would you vote for that?
I don't ever feel comfortable with extorting a membership to pay $3,000.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah,
I
can
explain later, but no,
Yeah.
I mean, they left us no. The mayor negotiated a contract, put this inside the contract, put this caveat inside the contract. We had no part of the negotiations. They give us a take it or leave it option of everyone in the police department gets to take off and hightail it out of here. There's a lot to it, but no.
All right. Well, again, you have no ability to demand an investigation. You can just keep asking for it. Do you feel other fellow members will participate?
I don't know how they couldn't. I mean,
Bill Phillips. You heard Bill Phillips on the air.
Yeah.
We've spoken to other council members. Again, some are more apt to challenge the mayor than others, obviously, and I think that's always a good thing. I mean, that's democracy. The mayor calls it, whatever grandstanding and Mount Rushmoring, I think he used, which is
political and everything else.
But look, the whole Common Council, I can't imagine, is satisfied with this issue.
All right,
Bill.
Yes.
I just want to say I'm glad I talked to you tonight and not yesterday.
I was a little fired up yesterday. I'm sorry. I just could not understand how we could be putting this family through this. When all this evidence is popping up, how can you not, at the very least, without pointing blame, just treat it like you treated the previous two cases?
Yeah, but that's
exactly.
The issue is that. The issue is now if you're a fireman and something like this does happen to you, or if you're a recruit for any position in the city or any employee of the city and it happens to you, you have no one to turn to.
Yeah, it does.
Because the mayor will completely not ignore the issue according to the way he's handled this.
Joe Marino, thank you. Samantha, we appreciate it.
Guys, take care. Have a good day.
Thanks so much.